Season 7, Episode 4 of the Ubuntu Podcast. In this episode, we'll discuss 1404 and we'll read your feedback. If you're listening live, you can send us messages using the chat thing on the website and in the #UUPC IRC channel on Freenode. I'm Alan, and joining me this week is Tony.
Hello.
Hello. Laura.
Hiya.
And Mark.
Hello.
Mark, what have you been up to?
I have been using DDWRT.
Oh, it's marvellous, isn't it?
It's quite good.
What did you install it on?
On a D-Link D615H2.
Good.
Tony, have you any idea what they're talking about?
I vaguely know what DDWRT is, which is
With regard to?
It's an open source firmware for wireless routers and access points and stuff.
Right, yes.
Yes.
Well done, you, Tony.
That has extra shizzle that you don't get in your standard firmware.
Yeah.
Or less shizzle.
Why
Well,
can't you
that's
talk
what
like
you
this about games?
Yeah,
did once.
basically I upgraded to fibre internet recently, and I got a new Ethernet router, which the firmware didn't let me open any of the ports I wanted on the firewall. So I thought, enough of that, and bought a reasonably cheap router which runs can run DDWRT. I thought I was going to put OpenWRT on it, which is another alternative firmware, but it turned out that the particular hardware revision I got wasn't supported by OpenWRT, so I put DDWRT on instead.
Nice.
And it's a lot nicer, and it just lets you do stuff.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's really good.
It really is.
You still admin it through a web interface.
Yes, you can if you want, you can telnet in and do everything over telnet.
Retro.
But there's a really decent web interface. You get like a status page which shows you what's going on, and then you just log in and you can turn services on and off.
It's very much
configure
like
your firewall
any
port
other
forwarding
thing.
Yeah, except for with a few more bits and bobs.
Yeah.
More shizzle.
Yes, more shit.
Laura, how about you? What have you been up to?
I did my first commit on GitHub this week.
Oh, really?
Welcome to
Yes,
the club.
Thank you.
What did you commit?
An empty README file.
That's the best thing for your first commit.
Yeah, I thought so.
Do a license file next.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. I did my first pull request on GitHub
I was going to do one better.
this week, actually. Yeah.
What did you request to be pulled?
So there's a
A blank README file.
a website called Agile. No. Oh, crikey. I can't remember what it's called. But the website run their content from GitHub.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was giving a talk at their venue, and you're
Noticed
supposed
a mistake.
to... No, you're supposed to put your own content if you
I
want
see.
to on
Yeah.
the website.
Yeah.
So I just committed a picture and the pros to say what I was going to talk about and what time and everything,
Cool.
and pushed it, and then it was on their website. It's magic.
Brilliant.
So yeah, GitHub's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at Trisha Gee, who is a JMongoDB person, and she has her whole blog, a website hosted out of GitHub, and she's got a blog post explaining why. That's
Yeah.
quite interesting.
That's nice.
Uses a
Looks
really
good.
clever system called Jekyll, which you basically put in some templates and stuff in Markdown or whatever
Markdown.
format you want, and some CSS bits, and then it'll just stick it all together. You commit it to Git, and each time you commit it rebuilds your site and then just spits out static HTML. It's really clever.
Nice. What about you, Tony? Have you done anything with Git?
No, not at all. Not ever. Not even an empty README file.
What have you been up to?
Well, I have reached the rather significant £2,000 milestone on my Malawi mission fundraising.
So we're
Yay!
going to send you out of the
Well,
country.
I've still got a bit to go,
Oh.
but thanks to the last couple of donations that put me over are Linux and open sourcey people, which is really cool.
Hooray.
Oh,
to-
nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those
So,
are the best people.
I'm sure we'll put a link in the show notes, but I've still got a little way to go. But thank you for everybody who's been supporting me thus far.
You should do an Indiegogo campaign.
I could do. I might well end up doing so. I've got 65 days left to go to raise the rest. So,
wow.
how about you, Alan?
Yeah. It was my birthday last week, and I got a couple of nice toys for my birthday.
Oh.
And I've been playing with them. I got a Chromecast, which the kids love because they can beam their YouTube videos that they're watching to the telly, and they can watch films on Netflix. Sophie had a sleepover with a couple of her friends the other night, bought some popcorn, opened up Netflix on her phone, and threw a film at the telly. It was brilliant. It
Cool.
was really cool, yeah. And a quadcopter, which I crashed and broke.
How long did it last?
A few days, but in the back garden really gently. And then I went to the park with Sam, bought extra batteries so I could have longer play. Took it to the park and it was a bit windy and it just flew miles and then came crashing down.
Aww. Did you or Sam cry most?
He wasn't bothered because it meant he could go and play on the swings at the park. So I was more bothered, to be honest.
Oh, sad.
Sad tale.
Yeah, so keep it light. Let's get on with the show.
So this next segment, we're going to review the Ubuntu 14.04 LTS. Who's installed it?
Mark raises his hand.
Yes, and I have as well.
I assume that you've been running it for
I run
some
it.
time.
I run it on my laptop, my desktop, and my phone.
Do you run it as
What about
that's
your
your
server?
production thing?
And my server's still on 12.04.
Right.
So I will update, but not yet.
Tony?
I've not had a chance to use it yet. I've been rather busy.
Yeah.
But I think we should spend a few minutes quizzing Mark and Alan about their experiences with it.
I
Let's
think
not start with Alan because he'll go on about it for ages.
He'll
Mark,
tell us about apps and things.
yeah, what was your experience of it?
Okay, well, I'm running it on I just got a new laptop for work, so I put it on my work laptop.
Clean install.
Clean install. Yes.
Okay.
Replace Windows with Ubuntu on an encrypted volume, which worked perfectly.
What, using eCryptFS or
Lux.
Lux? Okay.
So just from the installer, like when you say replace Windows, there's then an option say encrypt the underlying disk, and I selected that. So everything's encrypted. So when you boot, you type in a password before you get anywhere. But because it's an SSD, the rest's really quick. So that's cool. So my experience of it has been pretty good. I mean, it's not from a desktop user's perspective, it's not wildly different from 1310 at all. There's just a few areas of sort of polish to it. There is, just let me consult my Oracle of Nexus 7. Okay, so there's a few new settings. I mentioned these a bit last week actually when I mentioned that I was using 14.04.
Are you sure about that?
Yes. So there's a new setting which allows you to have the menu stay in the window rather than staying at the top.
That's revolutionary.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yes. So that's part of the appearance settings, and there's another setting which lets you scale the UI stuff, so that depending on the resolution of your screen, you can have it so that the launcher and the bar at the top and the fonts and the window decorations scale up and down. So if you've got a really high resolution screen, then you can make the stuff bigger rather than it being like squashed in the corner. And you can do that per screen as well. So if you've got different resolution screens.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, it's about pixel.
Did you not know that?
Well, no, I've only got one screen, so no.
Well, it's about pixel density, isn't it? Because you can have the same resolution screen, and it could be a 17-inch laptop display, or it could be a 4.5-inch mobile device display.
Yes,
so
exactly.
You can make sure that the furniture of the window is appropriate.
So if
for your...
Alan plugged his, what resolution is your screen on your laptop?
1366 by 768.
Yeah. So if you plug your laptop into your 1080p display at home, then obviously everything's going to be a lot smaller because the pixels are a lot denser on your display at home. So you can make the UI stuff bigger on that monitor, so they match the same size as on your.
Right. Okay.
Do you
see.
When will it do it automatically when he docks and undocks his laptop, do you think?
I suspect. Well, it seems to remember sort of monitor configuration. So if you plug it into the same monitors, it'll give you the same layout of desktop. So I imagine it also tries to remember the same scaling, but I don't know.
It's in the same UI thing, isn't it? I
Yeah.
think that all gets stored in this monitors.xml file. So I think it all gets stored in that same place.
Oh,
It does
cool.
remember it. Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds quite funky, that.
What else?
There's an option to minimize an application. So there's so many caveats about this. If you've got an application open, but there's only one window open of that application, then if you click the launcher icon for that application, then it minimizes it. And then if you click it again, it unminimizes it. But if there's more than one window open for that application, it doesn't. And it's
Is that
unsupported.
default?
No, it's not default. It's unsupported. And if you want to turn it on, you have to install Comp's config settings manager.
Right.
Right.
Is this because people were bleating and saying, "Oh, they never listen to the community. They never do what we ask."
I don't
so
know.
it was added. I think it was.
probably yes.
So it was
Who-
added back in.
Who was asking for that very useful niche feature?
Well, I don't know if it is niche. I mean,
I think
I
it's
used
just,
to do that all the time.
that's the thing.
until-
When we had a taskbar, it was what happened. You clicked on the application in the taskbar, and it minimised.
Right.
yeah.
Well, good luck to anybody who uses that.
Yes, if you can find it and turn it on.
I don't think I
Buried
can
it
bother
28
turning it
levels
on.
deep.
Yes. There's no more Ubuntu 1.
Boo!
Yay.
So we discussed last week the demise of Ubuntu 1, and
Yeah.
that's so none of the Ubuntu 1 apps, the music store stuff and the setup stuff and the application indicator are no more in 14.04. They have
Good.
gone.
Boo! So it's not good. I spent the afternoon faffing around with Dropbox and moving my stuff into that. It's not good.
Moving your stuff, like drag and drop a folder from one place to another?
Yeah,
Surely that's all you had to do.
Well,
Your internet
and
connection's better now.
figuring out how it works. So, the whole synchronized, like on Dropbox, if you synchronize a folder, it synchronizes on all your clients by default. You have to deselect them, whereas
Yes.
Ubuntu 1, it was pretty much the other way around.
Right.
And setting up the app on my phone to synchronize photos I take with the camera on my phone, which is fine, but I just needed to figure out how that works.
Sounds like hard work.
It was work. It wasn't hard work, but it was work I had to do that I wouldn't have otherwise had to do if they, stayed the course.
So are you going to
Not
get a
with-
refund from Ubuntu? One?
Apparently so. In due course, I will get a refund for however much I had left on my annual subscription.
Jolly good. What else?
It's not good.
There's a new lock screen which looks like the login screen and fades in and out in a pleasing fashion.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes,
I like that.
Alan's just done it.
Yes.
Yes. So it basically it's the Light DM launcher rather than I don't know what it was before, GNOME screensaver or something.
Screensaver type GNOME screensaver thing. Yes.
Which was a weird little dialog box which looked nothing like the rest of the desktop.
Yeah.
Have they fixed
He's
the bug?
right.
Have they fixed the bugs that shows your desktop
No.
behind? No. Okay,
No,
that's still-
no.
What?
Sorry, no, I'm thinking of a different bug where you
Right.
you wake up from suspend and then it briefly shows your desktop and then says, "Oh no, it's locked," and then displays the lock
Yes, I've
screen.
seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's similar.
That's
kind
still
of-
there.
That's still there. Okay. Well, that's all right then.
yeah.
Phew.
So that's about as far as I've found. Anyway, Alan, correct me if I'm wrong. That's about it on the desktop.
Yeah, that sounds like most of the stuff, and bug fixes along the way.
Yeah.
but obviously not the one bug fix that you wanted.
Oh, they've also closed the iPod 6th generation support that I was after as well.
Right, for a
that
device
bug
you
as
no
well.
longer own. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because a device I had to sell because Ubuntu didn't
Right.
support it and hasn't supported it since I
Right.
got it 3 years ago. So I bought an older device that was
Right.
supported.
Is that supported?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Poor decision making on your part, really. First of all, for
No,
buying
Didn't you
it.
win
not
a
at all.
competition?
He wasn't in a, or I won it in a competition.
No, I had a first generation iPod Nano that got recalled because there was a battery issue.
And when it was really old,
Yeah, and they replaced it with a 6th generation iPod Nano.
Right.
which was brilliant,
Which was
except
good, except it wasn't supported on Ubuntu. So I sold that and bought a 4th generation iPod Nano.
Golly.
This is all very relevant to Ubuntu 14.04.
Patch is welcome.
Absolutely, yeah. Send them in. Podcast.
So I've been running 14.04 for some months, I guess, on my laptop and desktop, and the whole it should be stable every day has been fairly accurate most of the time. There's been the odd occasion where, leading up to release, it's broken here or there. Some strange, wacky package has been missing or has been added, or the video driver didn't work on my desktop. My NVIDIA driver didn't work. I ended up with a black screen, or ended up with.
is that really annoying when it's your work laptop?
Well, this is one of the
You've
reasons
got
why
yourself to blame.
I have two machines,
Ah,
and this is why I synchronize data between the two of them, so that in the event that one breaks, I can switch to the other one. And invariably, it's my desktop that breaks, so I don't worry too much because that's mostly for gaming. But and it's NVIDIA, so that kind of stuff does happen during the development cycle. But during the last few weeks, it's been pretty rock solid, and I haven't really.
Yeah, I mean, I've been
noticed.
using it for about a month now, and I've not had any trouble.
I did notice a bug recently, which I saw someone else had replicated, but it seems to have just been fixed just at the point when I filed the bug, which was I managed to type in the lock screen that you were talking about.
Yeah.
I typed my password in and nothing happened. And I thought, it's all locked up. And then I managed to click around and eventually unlock it and found that my password had been typed into a window
A chat window?
behind my screen. Well, luckily it was my desktop and I wasn't signed into IRC. So, yeah, that could have been a disaster. I could have ended up typing my password directly into an IRC window or document or
Twitter.
something. Yeah, or Twitter. So ever since that happened, which, has been fixed and I haven't been able to reproduce it since, I've been super careful about unlocking my screen. Normally, when the screen goes blank, I know the screensaver's on. I just type it straight into a black screen. I type my password.
I've done that.
And now I don't. I wiggle the mouse, wait for it to wake up, and then type my password into the lock thing, and then
Wiggle then wake.
yes.
Yeah.
But
No, I've done that at work into a chat window.
I have moved to on 1404. We're on kernel 3.13, I think now,
Right.
and I've moved to ButterFS on my laptop now.
Oh, really? Is that in
buttery.
the kernel now then?
Well, it always was,
Right.
but it's I just felt a bit safer to use ButterFS now.
Okay.
On a much newer kernel than what I was running previously.
Right, yes, okay.
So I've got ButterFS on my server, and now I've got 2 disks in my laptop, and they're both ButterFS.
Okay, and what advantages does that give you in your day-to-day usage?
None, really.
ext4?
It's just good fun.
I'm just really hungry for a coin on the cob now.
Wow. I don't know where that came from.
What about server stuff, server space? Anything interesting going on in there?
Lots of cloud stuff
Oh,
and
good.
virtualization stuff. New version of Zen.
Hey!
Is it good?
You remember that?
Yeah,
Zen?
I remember
cold,
Zen.
isn't it?
Remember that?
I thi-
Spangles and Zen.
I think it does proper virtualization now rather than funny virtualization. But
LXC?
apparently some people so
New-
LXC, yes, and Juju.
What's
LXC?
LXC?
LXC is Linux containers, so it's a very, very lightweight virtual machine.
Parallels.
No,
No,
lighter
it's
than that. More like
it's running on the same
Solaris
kernel, isn't it?
Zones.
Solaris Zones, okay.
Or
So you
BSD
can-
jails.
Yeah, kind of. So you can have a little virtual machine kind of thing that has an application in it, and then when you don't want to run it anymore, you can just tear that container down, and it's very, very lightweight, very quick to bring up and shut down.
Yes.
And it goes on. I mean, Mark mentioned Juju. It goes along. Juju uses LXC, so you could, for example, do. If you want to test out some application, like test out a WordPress deployment, you could do Juju deploy WordPress, and it would spin up an LXC container and install WordPress inside it, and Juju deploy MySQL and spin up another container with MySQL in it, and tear them down and spin up loads of them. And
Cool.
It's really quite cool.
Okay, excellent. So
And
nice to
also,
know.
Strong Swan is now the supported IPsec VPN. Strong Swan's notable because it's currently being sort of vetted and approved by
The NSA?
not the NSA. I can't remember. There's another acronym. They're sort of part of GCHQ, but it's the first application which is going to be by them saying this is okay for government people to use as a secure app, and it's open source, because there's been a lot of stuff in the public sector, a lot of FUD about how unless this group of people approve stuff, then
Right,
you're
can't
not
get
allowed to
government
use it.
contracts
And stuff, and they say you can't use open source, which is nonsense anyway. But the first thing which they're actually properly approving through this process is going to be open source, and it's on Ubuntu.
Fab. So we've probably got time for a quick rundown of what the other members of the Ubuntu family are doing for this release coming up or in the recent past.
Depending upon when you're listening.
Let's not get bogged down in the
So-
whole time thing again.
What's Ubuntu like?
Yeah, Kubuntu's going to be very pretty, which is obviously a big selling point. Default setup will be familiar to Windows converts, but also it's going to be really customizable because everybody loves options. There are KDE alternatives to most GTK apps in the distribution this time around. Still using Firefox and LibreOffice as their mainstays, though.
Yeah, and they are the only other flavour which is going to be supported for 5 years in the
Oh,
LTS
right.
cycle.
Yeah, the others are shorter, 3
Yeah,
years.
everyone else is 3 years. Yes.
Ah, right, okay. And everyone else includes...
Ubuntu GNOME.
Ooh.
Oh, were you pointing at me or Laura?
No, I was pointing at you.
Oh, good. Which is running GNOME 3.10, not the latest GNOME 3.12,
Yeah.
which is fair enough because it's long-term support. I don't know. I had a quick play with it, and it's sort of you just get jumped onto a GNOME Shell desktop, and there's the word activities in the top left, and nothing else. There's not really any clue about what you're supposed to do. So I tried pressing the super key like you do on
Every other operating system.
on every other
Right,
operating
yeah.
system, and what looked a bit like the Unity dash popped up, and I typed something in and it searched it just like it does on Unity. So that was all very familiar. And and it's again sort of similar package selection to the standard Ubuntu.
Cool.
But there's a tweak tool that comes with it with loads and loads and loads of options and loads of
extensions.
like GNOME shell extensions to turn on and off, which is quite cool.
Okay, that's Ubuntu GNOME. Alan, what has Ubuntu got to offer?
They've replaced X Screensaver with Lightlock. They've stripped down their package selection, so they've got lighter weight alternatives to LibreOffice, which are more appropriate for a leaner computer. A new thing called the Whisker menu, which is similar to the KDE menu, but with less bling, less animated bits. So.
Right.
So it's basically categories and a search.
Right. And it's very much like GNOME 2.
Oh, interesting.
And then finally there's Ubuntu, which is very similar to Ubuntu, and it has a more classic Windows. So like Windows 98 feel.
It was classic Windows.
It was.
Yeah,
classic.
I was thinking like old style Windows. Like it's got a very simple sort of square menu bar at the bottom, and
So that would be a great alternative. I think of all of them, Ubuntu or Ubuntu would be great alternatives for Windows XP users. Personally.
Refugees, yes.
Yeah, run on
That's
similar
me
kind of
told.
hardware and similar kind of spec.
You'll also be able to get hold of new versions of Ubuntu Studio and Edge Ubuntu, again, supported for 3 years. But I'm sure I'll put some links in the show notes where you can check out those release notes for those ones.
Awesome.
And we have another command line love in this episode, stolen from @CLIMagic on Twitter.
Stolen?
Borrowed.
Right.
Yes, we're not depriving people from...
You didn't steal the tweet and the tweet's now gone.
This is the whole piracy versus theft.
Let's not go there.
So
borrowing.
This one
Sharing.
is a very interesting command that uses depackage and cut and sort and unique. So it's a proper kind of chain of good old Unix commands, one after the other, that basically it gets a list of packages that put stuff in your boot partition. So anything that might stick a file in /boot on, which might not be a partition these days. It might just be just a location on your root file system. And then you can look at those lists of packages and then print them off and pin them on your notice board.
There is a reason this is useful.
Okay.
So if boot is on a different... So, for example, when you install Ubuntu using encryption like I did, then it puts boot on a different partition because the boot partition can't be encrypted. Otherwise,
Does it do that automatically?
Boot. Yes.
Ah.
That's clever.
Which means that it's a limited size. So if you install a lot of kernel updates, it gets full up and then you can't update your system.
Right.
So if you say it says it can't complete it, and you say, okay, well, which packages do I need to remove? You run this command, it tells you which packages are putting stuff in boot.
Okay.
So those might be the current kernel plus all your old kernels.
Exactly.
Plus what? What else touches boot?
Mem test. That's the only other thing I've got anyway. Or if you install something like boot chart or something like that.
Okay, so how does this? Why is this preferable to apt-get auto remove that will get
because that doesn't auto remove kernels.
Does for me. Does on my machine.
Are you sure about that? I was reading a big page about why it doesn't.
It cleans. Yeah, it cleans up stuff.
It might do.
On the fence.
Okay, there
But
is
it
no
won't
authoritative.
Do I get the deciding vote here?
But what it doesn't
Does it do it on your machine, Laura?
What it doesn't do is actively tell you what is possibly going to write to boot.
That's true. Yes.
So what Mark's command does is give him a definitive list of things that touch the boot partition.
Yeah. And in that regard, it does a fantastic job, and is well worth.
And I've also written an even longer command, which takes.
Wow, that's really big.
Yeah. So it uses this to get this list of stuff which is in boot, and then it takes out the current anything that's not a kernel, the current running kernel, and the newest kernel, and then removes everything else without get.
Are you brave enough to just paste that straight in on your laptop and let it run?
I did earlier.
Right. And you're sure that won't remove the current running kernel?
Yeah, because that grep v uname a awk print 3 bit says remove the current kernel from this list.
Yeah, I knew that.
And he's saying this from his Nexus 7 tablet, not his laptop. Not.
Go on, try it.
No.
Right.
Go on, put -y after apt-get and try it.
No, I'm not going to do that. But thank you anyway. Awesome.
And now it's time for your feedback. And Loff on blog, is that our blog or his blog?
It's our blog, our website.
Yes.
Said, hi there, if you want to change the behaviour of caps lock, you can do it without a GUI via depackage reconfigure keyboard configuration on Debian-based systems. I use it because I change desktop environments sometimes, and this is always a different UI switch. This is in response to me complaining about the options being removed from Ubuntu 14.04.
Yeah, you map the caps lock button to something
Super.
else.
Yes.
So super.
Yes, or I disable it completely.
Right.
So instead of accidentally caps locking everything, you accidentally open the menu all the time. Is that not really annoying?
Well, actually, I don't think... The thing is, because before I did that, I just took the caps lock off completely, so I managed to teach myself not to accidentally press
Because it hurts.
Because I was always pressing it, and the only time I ever pressed it deliberately was to turn it off.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
if it wasn't there, I couldn't accidentally mash it.
So that command that Loff on blog sent us from the Planet blog, it works. It does the usual like console-based
Yes.
question and answer thing
Decomp
that takes
thing.
you through all of the keyboard layout questions.
But it didn't give me an option for caps lock. It gave me other options, which I liked quite a lot, but not for
Such
caps
as
lock.
what?
I can't remember now, but they thought...
Yeah,
"Oh."
where you put the Alt-Gr key.
Yeah,
and, stuff
and
like that.
what your compose key is. And
Yeah. Super.
Excellent. Keyboard reconfiguration fun.
We also had an email from Ivan Pejic, I think I'm going to say there.
Regular correspondent.
And he says, Mark, make us a 10-inch Valley View tablet convertible, smiley face. If it fails, show the image of the cutest kitten one can find and try again.
Is this...
I think that's
Mark
not aimed at
Shuttleworth.
you, Mark. I think that's aimed at our friend, Mr.
Shuttleworth.
Show,
I
Mr.
thought I
Shuttleworth.
had a friend.
I don't know what a Valley View tablet convertible is, actually.
Does anyone else?
No. If you know what a Valley View... Oh, it's a holiday home or an equestrian place, or it's something to do with a primary school in Leeds.
It's a convertible, so it's a car.
Right.
It's
Or
a
it's a
car,
bed and breakfast in the Highlands.
it's
I'm
a
not
car
sure what it is.
/ holiday home.
It's whatever Valley View is, it's not in the first page of Google, so it doesn't exist.
I think the cutest kitten is probably the safest bet then.
Yep, Mark, fire up Imgur and get us some pictures of cats.
Okay.
Not you, the other one. Dave Morley has been in touch using the Twitter to tell us that he is very much looking forward to sleeping again after the release of 14.04. He's obviously working very hard on that.
He's doing a lot of. Dave does a lot of testing. He does the daily dog fooding on the phone and tablet images. So
Right.
where we have a load of automated testing that runs. There's an image that's created at like 3:00 in the morning that has all the bits that landed in like Unity and the kernel and all the Android bits, and that image is built early in the morning UK time. And so when Dave gets up, he flashes his phone and then starts dog fooding while loads of automated testing goes on in the lab. And then, he starts filing bugs and keeps coming up with weird esoteric bugs. Like today, he pinged me on IRC and said, "Hey, Alan, can you try this for me? Send a text message from one phone to another phone. And while the little pop-up is on the screen, quickly tap and then send it another text message." Like, who would ever do this? And found a bug and it gets filed. So he's good at finding those kind of bugs, and also does a whole load of ISO testing. So he's been very busy for the last 10 years.
Excellent. Well, he also says Unity 7 is very nice, and there's a new stable touch as well, which is good. So he's looking forward to those things.
Yes.
Cool. And that's the end of your feedback.
The Ubuntu podcast needs you. Yes, you. If you hear something that enthralls, exasperates, or elevates you, tweet at UUPC or email podcast@ubuntu-uk.org. You can also talk to us on the telephone, Skype, Facebook, and Google+. Find links to all these places on our website, podcast.ubuntu-uk.org. Please do get in touch. I mean it. Just one message, just to know there's someone out there who cares.
Thanks for listening. That's the end of our show, and the next live show will be on Wednesday, the 30th of April at 8:30 in the evening, UK time.
It will. Excellent. And I hope you're able to join us then.
Yes.
Have we got anything lined up for that? Do we know yet?
Okay.
Yes, we have an interview lined up.
Yes.
Next time.
We do. Do you know who it is? I do.
I might do if I click
Oh, yeah,
this
Mark
link here.
arranged this one.
Yes, we're talking to Michael Meeks from Collabora and the Document Foundation.
Yes. Now, Michael Meeks has got a long history with OpenOffice and LibreOffice and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Document Foundation. Sounds interesting. Well, join us then. We'll all be here with cake and tea. Cheerio.
Bye.